another episode of OATS Uncut, Orator Academy Talks Uncut. We are unscripted, unfiltered, candid conversations. Why? Because life is just better and easier, organic. Today I have the pleasure of welcoming a wonderful person that I have known for many years. She adds color, she adds life, she brings a certain vibrance which is addicting. Welcome, Florence, to OATS Uncut.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Terrific.
You always look fabulous, no matter what event, what setup, and that's so inspiring.
Wonderful.
I've seen you always quickly touch up your lipstick at the end of a cup of coffee. Why do you think that's so important?
Because my lips get dry.
Oh, it's just because they get dry.
Yeah.
So it's for the people who would say, oh, why does she have to put on lipstick all the time? What would you say?
Well, I don't drink coffee all the time, but for people who say that, it's a personal preference.
I agree, and I would say mind your own business. Yeah. It's my choice, my life, my body, my choice. Yeah, but somehow, I guess people, it's really, I'm a lipstick person too, because it really enhances the way I look, so why not?
Me too.
Yeah. So I just introduced you as a very vivacious person. Is this genetic, or life has been so beautiful and fun that you are of this attitude? You have a really great attitude. God bless, I've never seen you down.
I think it's both genetic and life. I think genetically, I had parents that had a lot of vibrations to them and were always upbeat. And no matter what the circumstances were, they could overcome. And the rest was my life. I really was looking for a good life, and was fortunate enough to marry the right person, and the atmosphere was always upbeat.
So before we get to that part, how many siblings do you have? How big is your family that you come from?
I had mother, father, a sister and brother, and myself.
So three of you?
3 siblings. Yeah, three of us.
So a sister, and are you the middle? Are you the oldest?
No, I was the eldest. I was oldest by 22 months of my brother. Mm-hmm. And he was, my birth father died when I was 4. My mother remarried, and my sister is 7 years younger than me.
Okay, wonderful. And then you were born in Jersey, is it? New Jersey?
No, I was born in New York City in Beth Israel Hospital, and we lived in New York, and when I was 7, we moved to White Plains.
You lived in White Plains, and then you moved to Jersey when?
Well, I went to school in Connecticut, or rather New England, and I taught school in Connecticut, and then I said I need to leave Enfield. And so I came to the Philadelphia area and met my husband there.
And how did you meet this gentleman that you eventually married? What's the story?
Through a marriage search company called Operation Match. And I got a whole list of people. And
This is then?
This is then.
Wow.
And we met, and we had a very, very, very nice first date. I fell in love with the jacket he was wearing. I thought his overcoat, it was really beautiful. And he was president of a singles club called the Singledelphians, and it was very large. And I thought, why is he looking for someone else? But he was looking for someone who wasn't a school teacher and who wasn't a nurse. And we met December 13th, 1968, and we were married in 1969. And he proposed to me while I was over the Palmyra Bridge. I was driving, and we were in the middle of the bridge. I said, why did you pick this time? The bridge has 2 lanes, one way and one the other way. But that's what he did.
Oh my God, my heart is feeling so warm and fuzzy that you remember the exact date you met him.
Yes.
December 13th, 1968.
He said, how would you like to go to Montreal over Christmas? I thought, this guy is way too fast for me. He said, how about the Mummers Parade in Philadelphia? I said, never seen it. I said, sounds good. So that's what we did. That was our...
Wow. And just now let's reveal about this gentleman. He was from a different culture, different nationality, different background, different upbringing. Yes, you fell in love with the jacket, you fell in love with his attitude, but did you ever? Actually, I'll let you talk about him.
People say that to me all the time because my husband was from India, but I didn't find any differences. I found it very similar. Everything, we just kind of melted together. I mean, it was easy. there didn't seem to be the cultural differences. I was first born American in this country from my family who came from Germany. Both our fathers had the same first name, Hans. Hans means John in English, but his father's name was Hans too. And we were blown away that both our fathers from two different parts of the world had the same name.
How amazing is that? So that's another reason I wanted to have this conversation with you, because just like you said a minute ago, you didn't find differences, you saw similarities. And I think this is what the world has needed and continues to beg for. Find the similarities. Don't just keep pointing out the differences, right? So, when you think of it, Florence Kapoor married to Vijay Kapoor, how did that happen? And how did he go to Operation Match? Were there other Indians there too, or was he the only one?
He was the only one.
So he was also not looking for differences. He was also looking for similarities.
That's right.
And that's what brought you together. And what a wonderful ride you've had with him.
We were the fortunate ones.
You were the fortunate ones.
Yes.
And you also said that prior to this conversation, at some point, you said he brought out the best in me.
He always did. He brought out the best. He never looked at what was negative. He only looked about what was positive between us.
I think that's probably a general attitude towards life, towards your world. You are looking for the positive, the goodness, and not the negativity all the time. And I have to say that is very addicting, and that's what draws people to you and have drawn people to Vijay also. It's phenomenal. So the next question that would come to mind is, was communication ever a problem with his family, or for him to communicate and connect with your family, even though English was a common language, but culturally?
There really wasn't. He loved philosophy, and he loved the Hindu philosophy, and he would spend copious hours teaching it to me. He would draw sketches and diagrams, and I wasn't particularly religious. I come from a Jewish background, but I wasn't very religious. But he wanted me to feel an affinity towards a philosophy of religion. And so a lot of our dating was just discussing philosophy and religion, and we both loved it. So
you both basically came together, but with a very open and mature mindset.
We did, yes.
And then you went ahead and did lots of businesses together, because that's another thing about you. You have, I mentioned mushrooms that I saw, weird kinds of mushrooms, and you said, yeah, we used to send mushrooms to, where we Bermuda.
Bermuda. Philadelphia outside is mushroom country, where all the Italian farmers grow mushrooms. Mm-hmm. And we ship the spores of the mushrooms to Bermuda and to other countries.
How did you get into mushroom business?
We tried so many different things. We went to the farmers there and we said, are you selling your spores to these countries? And they said no. And they said, would you like us to do it for you? They said, sure.
So the attitude or the mindset that I am thinking you had, both of you, is not of thinking what if, but rather, hey,
let's move forward.
Let's move forward with it, and what will be, will be. So how long did you do that business, and what other businesses have you been in?
Oh my goodness. We did that for about a year, and it was fascinating. It was really a lot of fun. I loved it. And I loved working with the farmers. We did a lot of different businesses because I enjoyed shopping and jewelry and so on. Vijay said, why don't you go to India and go shopping? And whatever you bring back, we'll see if we can sell it. And so I did. I went all over India, all over India, northern India and Himalayas and so forth. And I brought back a lot of items, jewelry and knickknacks, all different types of items. And I brought a big bag of them, a satchel back with me. And he said, why don't you, and his sister came with me, his youngest sister. And he said, why don't you go to Philadelphia and see what stores you can sell to? I had never done this in my life. So first we went to Wanamaker's, and they went crazy over everything we had. And I called up Vijay. I said, you won't believe the order I got. And it was amazing. And he said, well, now go to Strawbridge and Clothier. I said, okay, I don't have an appointment. He said, just go with your bag of your samples. I did. They also gave me a big order. And so for years, that's what we did. And then I sold to all the universities and the Harvard, MIT, UPenn. And UPenn said to me, don't even take the samples, just leave the whole bag here. What? And that's what we did. It was really fun. I mean, It was incredible in the bookstores because they sell a lot of varieties of items.
Varieties?
Yeah, and then it was a jump start to other businesses that we did.
That's amazing.
It was really a lot of fun. We were in the boutique show. We were on the cover of their magazine, and that was at the McAlpin Hotel in New York City. And we imported scarves, and we would go and pick the patterns in India, and then we did handbags, and our handbags were in every store in the United States. Vijay went to India, and he saw they were exporting a leather type of bag to Japan. So he brought it back, and it became an overnight success in this country. And we had sales reps everywhere, and we did every store in the United States had our bags. And I began designing them and traveling all over the world to see new designs, and it was wonderful.
So you said you went to India and you saw this knickknacks and jewelry, whatever you bought, and then you just went with a bag of samples to these various stores and universities. So do you think if you had a different personality, or you think that your personality helped you make that connection and get those orders so easily? I mean, how many people can think of doing that, really?
Well, I grew up in the water cooler business. And so we had the first bottling water plant in New York City. And on Saturdays, I used to go, and my grandfather started it with his son, Claude, when they came from Germany as immigrants, and when Hitler was in power. So my uncle Eric, who lived in Scarsdale, we lived in White Plains, he would go every Saturday and go around looking for business. And I said, so at age 11 or 12 or 13, I went around with him. And I learned the skills of selling from him. It was fantastic. I mean, it was fun and exciting. He always got orders, and I learned the method of presentation. So that's how that developed. And I think Vijay was also a very good salesperson, and he would teach me other skills. But it wasn't an overnight thing. It was because I had been trained by people who were really good at what they did.
So any of these businesses and all of these businesses you did together, you and Vijay, or? It was just you, he was pushing you?
No, everything we did was together.
You did together?
Yes, that's right.
As a team?
As a team. He was an accountant for a very large firm at that time in Connecticut. And when it started taking, and my brother was working with us too for a while when he graduated from college before he went into law. And it was exciting, it was thrilling, and we worked together as a team. We worked around the clock. And it was a wonderful time in our lives.
That's amazing. And you have 3 wonderful children?
Thank you.
And so do you think they have also taken some of your traits, yours and Vijay's?
Yes, they have taken, definitely. They were very heavily influenced by us.
They have.
So, yeah.
But none of them are doing the kind of businesses that you ventured in?
No, they're not. Our daughter does Airbnb and many other types of businesses in Asheville, North Carolina. And our son, Aaron,
is a venture
capitalist, but he went to London School of Economics, and he went to NYU. But he's terrific with customers and accounts, and they buy and sell companies. So he fixes them up. So yes, in many ways, that may have some similarities. And Rajay was in sales with me, and we did great together. When we did our industrial air cleaning equipment, he could open the door, and I went in and made the sale.
Oh, lovely, lovely. I think it's important to have that kind of a teamship that one opens and one closes. So you bring it full circle. That's amazing.
We were very good at it. He stopped everyone at every trade show. We worked with fire companies, we worked with the White House, we worked with the forest rangers, we worked with Park Service in DC, we worked around the United States, Hawaii, and it was wonderful. It was really very exciting. We did the armed services. We had amazing accounts.
You are amazing, and that's why you get amazing experiences and accomplishments. So you attract that, you have that energy, and that's why I've always loved chatting with you. You are an inspiration. So going back to the personal front, now they say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So did you take on Indian cooking, or did he start eating the food that you were used to?
No, he did not eat the food I was used to. Instead, and I was not a good cook at all. I'll never forget, we had invited I was teaching school in Hatboro, Pennsylvania, and I had invited a couple for dinner, and he was a vice president of GE. And Vijay walked in. He said, "That really smells strong. Well, what did you put?" I said, "Well, it called for a quarter cup of ginger." He said, "I don't think so," and took the chicken out and washed it under the faucet. It was a quarter of a teaspoon, and I had misread it. But what he did was very smart. He invited all his mother, his sisters, anyone from India to come. And he would always say, "Why don't you go in the kitchen and see what they're making or how they're making it?" And slowly I learned how to cook Indian food because I had people right in front of me doing it and working with them.
And did you start enjoying it, and has it become second nature then eventually?
It's second nature, and I did enjoy it, and it worked out really beautiful because he was vegetarian. I never became veg. I was veg for just a short time. And it worked out great. We never had a problem. Never, ever, ever.
Amazing, amazing. What's your best dish? Indian?
I don't know.
You're good at everything?
Yeah, kind of dal. I think dal is one of the things I make really well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, and but he never really got into your food that you were used to eating. But I remember you're very good with salads too.
We both love salads.
Yeah.
And that was a specialty of mine, and it was very easy to make, yes.
Did you also pick up on the language, or did he pick up on Hebrew?
No, he didn't pick up on Hebrew, and I was not good at languages. But I did learn enough that I could get around in India. I learned how to count in Hindi, and I could manage. But don't forget, I worked in different parts of India. So Calcutta has a different dialect than it might be in Amritsar.
Yes.
So, but nevertheless, I learned enough that I was comfortable, or thought I was. And sometimes people would just laugh at me because I was off track altogether.
Is there a go-to punchline or tagline or one line that you throw in various situations in Hindi or Punjabi?
Not really, but I take it very lightly. I mean, it's okay. It's not my native language. Okay. I was never great at languages. So.
Of course. But we always make fun, right? For example, when you meet somebody, I bumped into a German lady who's come for the wedding here at this place. And the moment I was introduced to her, it was afternoon. I said, "Oh, guten Tag." That's all I know. Good afternoon. Yeah. So I don't know many languages, but I like to throw in a little bit whatever smattering I know of. Or, a little bit of French, like, okay, merci beaucoup, or whatever it might be. So, in a lot of people who don't know Punjabi will say sanuki, menuki, which means essentially, what is it to me? Let it be. It doesn't bother me, menuki. So, I was asking for that reason, if there's any particular punchline or a line that you throw in. So, what, did the children learn any languages besides English, the three of them?
They did. Rajay was heavy into French. And he went to school. Actually, he was very heavy into French, and I took him to Canada in Quebec City one summer. All French. It's all French, and he spent a summer there. And then he went to school in England, and then in Brussels, and it was a French.
So he learned Belgian also?
Yeah. Well, he learned French. The school was half and half.
Okay.
But he spent time in Paris learning French. He took lessons there. So he was well prepared. Aaron it was very much in English. And then, of course, he worked in India for a while. His company, Bain, sent him from London to England to set up a Bain office in India, rather. In India. And everybody spoke English. So
English is the common language in India.
So that wasn't hard. And Janelle traveled around the world. She was probably better at languages, but she taught courses in building houses out of raw materials. And so that was always in English. And it was a common language in Turkey once she did a seminar, and the people came from all over the world, and we went to it. And it was great, but it was really taught in English.
So, I'm a communications coach. I teach students of all ages how to communicate, and I tell them that don't get fooled by the public speaking tag. It's more about your personality, the whole transformation of your personality, how you attract people, how you make them feel around you. So what do you in your experience, you've led a great life on the personal front. I haven't seen or heard of heard anybody say anything negative about you. And I know a lot of people from the family that you come from. And at work also, you've thrived. So you clearly have done something right. You have great relationship, personal and professional. So what do you think your biggest strength has been that has allowed you to make these brilliant connections?
It's a very good question and not that easy to answer. I think I had terrific role models growing up. My uncle, with whom I'd go out on sales, calmness, pleasure, being careful on how you word your responses to people, and making them feel that it's important that you have a good relationship with them and they can trust you. And that to me was, I would think, one of the things that when I retired, I was telling you before that Park Service in DC took me, they had a big thing at the Air and Space Museum, and every Park Service representative was there. And just because I was so real to them, I was a person that was straightforward and honest. And if I didn't think something wouldn't work, I'd say it, or something that would work, I'd say it. I mean, they just felt easy and they trustworthy. You
started your response by saying it's a difficult question to answer to, but you said such key things in that response of yours. The main one being, be authentic, be yourself, because if you're faking it, you're not going to make it to very far. So that is the most important thing as we try to become better communicators and to connect with people. Just bring your true face.
It allows people to recommend you to other people.
Right.
Because they've seen you perform and they know you're just who you are.
Exactly.
And you'll do the best for the person you're working with.
And it's easier for you because you are the way you are and who you are. You're not faking it. So it's not that, oops, I forgot I had to be another person in this scenario. But it's who you are. It's less work.
Yes, it's less work, but you have to be cognizant that you that you use language that's comfortable for people, that they can catch on quickly, that they feel that honesty is coming out of you. I don't know.
So to that point, like I tell my students, it's not about what you are saying, it's how they are receiving it.
Yes.
So you just said that. Are they able to understand? And are you giving them what they want from you? So it's all about the audience on the person on the other side. So and also how you are reacting to things. So you said also in your answer earlier that you learned from your uncle to be calm and peaceful and positive. So that attitude also attracts people towards you, because nobody's looking for a person who's always so nervous and harried. And you know that you can accomplish more being calm.
Right. And also letting them know, because we were in the water cooler business in Manhattan, and we were the only water cooler business in Manhattan, and we would know all the superintendents of the building, and so every building that there was, that was a way. When a new tenant moved in, they would call you might want to come over and rent a water cooler and so forth. And that became an understanding for me of the appropriate servicing of those you want to do business with.
That is true.
And how you build on that.
That is true. Well, it's been a great conversation. I love you so much. And I'm so glad that you are here with me today, because this is a keepsake for me and for Orator Academy Talks to have you
Thank you
today with me. I love you so much. Thank you so much.
Love you.
Thanks for tuning in to OATS Uncut. I am sure you enjoyed this conversation, and this one is a great one to know. So thank you for watching this conversation. Stay well, stay safe. Remember to love and to laugh and have a blast.
Thank you.